Hey there everyone, this is Cloud Chief, and in today's video I am going over the Ambuscade version 1 that has the Tonberries in it. I've honestly seen a lot of people just really complain and give a lot of hate for this Ambuscade, and I really don't know why, because in my opinion it's really easy, so hopefully we can change that with this video. For one, there's no penalty for this Ambuscade for super buffing. So typically you're gonna want, the support jobs of having Bard, Geo, and Core. So they're gonna be highly sought after. You also definitely want a tank for this one, as there can be a lot of ads running around. As soon as your party is buffed, your tank should go ahead and pull the summoner. As soon as you have him in position wherever you want to position to do the fight, your DD should start going to town on the summoner and try and push him down as soon as possible. The thing is, the summoner will continuously Astral Flow as long as he is kept alive. So you really want to make sure you burn him down first and burn him down as soon as possible. I've seen various times for when he will do Astral Flow. Typically it's about 30 seconds on normal. Probably about 20 seconds on VD between Astral Flows. Depending on different difficulties, when you start pushing the rascal down, a Monarch will spawn, which is the Mega Boss, 2 Chasers, which are Thief mobs, a Slicer, which is a Nin, and a Defiler, which is a Black Mage. You can check out this chart that shows the different mobs that pop on each difficulty level. You definitely want to make sure that your tank, if it's a Paladin, goes ahead and pops Rampart, or if it is a Rune Fencer, it pops One for All. Also, your White Mage should use Synchronicity. If you have a Geo in your party and you're doing this on higher difficulties, you can go ahead and have the Geo use Defend to increase your magic defense for the Summoner, the Ninja, and possibly even the Black Mage, depending what difficulty you're doing. And then as soon as those mobs are down, go ahead and then use whatever buff you would want to be using to buff the party for damage. You should have a pretty decent idea for when Astral Flow is going to go off. You'll see the animation go off on the mob, and then he will summon them, and then you still have a second before the actual damage will go off. So you really should be ready to put on your negative damage taken or magic damage taken gear, so that way you're more likely to survive when Astral Flow goes off. There really shouldn't be a reason that people are dropping, at least if only one Astral Flow is going off. If you're doing VD, it would probably be best to next jump on the Slicer, which is the Ninja, and try and take him out quickly, especially while you still have magic defense abilities up. Because if the Ninja's 1 hour goes off, that can do a decent amount of damage depending when. Also try and use stuns when he gets low HP to try and just be able to push him down before his 1 hour goes off. Also, just in case anyone is not aware, Ninja's 1 hour or Mijin Gakuer is non-elemental. I see people try and say, oh, put bar fire up, and I know the animation looks like it's fire based, but it is non-elemental magic damage. So you basically just need magic defense or magic evasion to be able to cut down the damage that Mijin Gakuer does. Bar fire does nothing. Depending on your difficulty, once the Summoner and the Ninja is down, it's a good idea, if you're on normal or higher, to go ahead and hop on the Thieves and kick off Perfect Dodge, and then maybe jump to the next Thief, then kick off Perfect Dodge, and if there is a Black Mage, then go hop on him and burn him down. At that point, Perfect Dodge should be off on the 2 Thieves, and you can go burn them down, and then all you'll have left is the Mega Boss to finish the run. Now, there's a few things about the Mega Boss which make him a little tricky. He will get a different random 2 hour, not that that's really a big deal, but his 2 hour seems to change from run to run. He has a move called Throat Slice, which is high damage and hate reset. It's like Throat Stab, except for Throat Stab always pushes you to extremely low HP and hate resets. This just does high damage, and I have seen it straight up kill someone who's been at low HP. But it also hate resets. So your DDs need to be ready to tank and also be ready for a mechanic that I'm going to be explaining in a bit. Another move why I think everyone hates this month is Everyone's Revenge. It is basically an AoE Everyone's Rancor, so you need to make sure that you have low Tonberry Hate. Resetting your Tonberry Hate every run or every other run is pretty much required if you're going to be regularly killing and not dying in every single run you do this month. Chains is another TP move that the Mega Boss will do that does an AoE bind and a pretty strong paralyze. So you want to make sure that you get the paralyze effect off, especially on your tank. So now comes the mechanic that seems to kill everyone the most outside of Astral Flow. And that is the fact that this Tonberry will actually do a 2-step skill chain to whoever has hate, with a sneak attack effect going off on the second step. So what'll happen is when Light of Condemnation goes off, that'll give a 60-second bind in gravity that also wipes your TP, and this is the start of the first skill chain. The next TP move will either be Vertical Reap or Lateral Reap. I have not seen anything that Vertical Reap puts on, but Lateral Reap will put a very strong defensive down move on the person that it hits. Now, I've seen a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on this defensive down, and it is a very strong defensive down. And if you get hit with the second step part that is a sneak attack effect with defensive down, I don't care who you are going to drop. You can be a tank with the best defensive gear in the game. With the amount of damage that happens with that sneak attack, and then the 2-step darkness skill chain that goes off, you will die. But you don't have to have the defensive down effect removed as long as you make sure you are facing the shadow, which is where the sneak attack comes from, and I think this is where everyone misses it. So when you see Light of Condemnation go off, if you have hate, be ready to start looking for the shadow as soon as you see the distortion effect go off on your character. As soon as that happens, you will see a shadow appear somewhere behind you. It can often be off to your right or left. It's not always directly behind you, but as soon as you see Light of Condemnation go off, start looking for where the shadow is going to appear. As soon as you see the shadow appear, make sure that you face it. As long as you do that, even with the defensive down effect, you should not go down, especially if you slap on your negative damage taking gear. Also, if it is going to go off on you because you happen to have hate, you should be well aware it's coming long before ahead of time because of Light of Condemnation. You should see that you get bound, and you should also see that your TP gets wiped. So you should be pretty prepared for it if you're looking for it. And you should have no reason that you're dropping. I see so many DDs that just get dropped because of this, and I think that's because they're not aware of the beginning of the first skill chain. Also be aware, if you are bound and you have the target locked on, so meaning you have the enemy where you're seeing his HP and you have a red square around it, you will not be able to turn. As long as you do not have him locked on, you should be able to adjust and at least pivot even though you're bound to face towards the shadow. So that is the only time this month I have actually died to the sneak attack effect, was because I had him locked on and was unable to turn in time. So you want to make sure that you're not locked on, or if you need to lock on to make sure you get in a good position, make sure you turn it off as soon as you are set, so that way you are ready to turn for the shadow. I've seen a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on having a panacea to be able to remove that defensive down, and while that's great, honestly I think it's much more important that you make sure you're facing the shadow, so that way you're not actually getting destroyed. You can take the hit even with the defensive down as long as you're at max HP and you're facing the shadow, because it severely cuts down the damage that sneak attack effect goes off. So really focus on where the shadow is and turning towards it more so than trying to get that defensive down debuff off. The Tonberries also have a move called Psy, which gives them an extreme amount of evasion for a short period of time. Considering Tonberries are light based, it needs to be a dark based dispel to get it off. So if you have a Corsair, using Dark Shot is good, or Geo or anyone who's Red Mage or subbing Red Mage, remove it with the Dispel Black Mage spell. The only real major threats I see this month is the Astral Flow, and as long as you go in and you're popping either like Rampart, One for All, and Synchronicity, you really shouldn't have a problem with Astral Flow, and as long as your DDs are good, you can push them down, and as long as people are facing the shadow and they're aware that Light of Condemnation is the start of the skill chain, so they can be ready to know it's coming for them, then you really shouldn't have any problems, and this month really is an easy month. The only other thing is about Resetting Hate, which that brings me to my next point. you should be going ahead and using the proto waypoint and warping to the Temple of Ugly, because that puts you in a spot where there are plenty of Tonberries all over the place. You might have to kill the one guardian, but I mean, at this point he's very low HP just to open the door, and you can get your key item, and then you can just keep running and run off the ledge, and you are right by the priest that resets your hate. So there's really no reason you can't just quickly go and get your key item and reset your hate every run. It is honestly a really easy month, and I'm not sure what all the complaining about is this month. It's much easier than most months in my opinion. And that about wraps up this month's Ambuscade. If you happen to not have the proto waypoint, go ahead and check down in the description, and there should be a link that'll lead you to my guide on how to unlock the proto waypoint, because it is an advanced proto waypoint. There are a bunch of other waypoints you have to get before you can unlock this, but it's honestly not too hard, and it is something that you should go out of your way and make sure you have unlocked, because it will make this month's Ambuscade that much easier, since you will be able to easily get the key item and also reset your hate every run. And that about wraps up this video. I hope you guys got some value out of it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to share this out with your friends. And as always, may you have success in all you do.